Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and we are back on with the standard hi-fi record player restoration. And as you can see, I actually did manage to get that front piece that was on here off. Basically what it was, and I'll show you, is this is the front bezel, and this is incredibly heavy. You wouldn't find anything like this nowadays. It's a proper cast piece of alloy. That it is actually quite heavy. But what I found was that little piece on the front there that had the standard hi-fi logo on it. Right in this corner here is where that screw was in the back that had the earthing tag connected to it, and then when I pushed on the screw, it just allowed the front piece just to lift up slightly, and I could see it was glued all along there. So what I did is I got my heat gun on a hot air rework station, not like a paint stripping gun, this thing basically. One of these things. I got that on a very low setting and just warmed up the glue and very gently just started lifting it, and it did pop off without doing any damage to it, and I was then obviously be able to access them 3 screws. Take the bezel off. That allowed me to take this top plate off and actually drop the plate that holds the amplifier controls. I managed to basically take the whole plate out, which was quite nice. I was also able to take the front plate off, sorry, the top plate off. And I've not been able to get all the dents out of it, but I have managed to get a considerable amount of the worst of the dents out of that, and push them out best I can. But even better than that, it meant that I could take the front grille plate off, and I've actually managed to get most of the dents that were in this out completely, so I'm quite pleased with that. And I basically did that by putting it on my mat down here and taking my isopropyl bottle like that, putting it on its side and using it as a rolling pin, basically like that. And using that, I was able to roll the dents out of that front grille. I mean, there's slightly still noticeable there, but it's a lot better than it was when I started, so I'm quite pleased with that. But what I thought we'd do in this video is start putting this record player back together now. Now I don't think we'll probably get it finished in this video, but hopefully we'll get it to a point where we can at least perhaps get it to play by the end of the video. Like I said, I'm not promising anything on that front, but that's my aim. But we will start, basically we're going to start in reversal. We're going to put the power supply back in the case. That's going to be our first job, and we have the power supply we rebuilt on the previous video here, and that is going to go back in the cabinet. Let's see if this will line up okay. There we go. That's down on its mount there, and that actually lines up really nicely at the back there. As we can see, we've got our nice new IEC power input there, and that looks quite purposeful. That looks like it's meant to be there. In fact, before I fit that, I'm just going to take it back out again. I've just noticed a little bit of dirt which I'd missed previously, because I have given this thing a little bit of a clean up. Let's just get a little bit of soapy water, and we'll just give that a wipe in there, so we won't be able to get right in once we've got that power supply back in there. So we'll give that a little clean in there while we're in there. We do still have to do something about that, and I've got a few ideas how I'm going to blank that off. Let's slide the power supply back in. There we go. And get its fixings. One star washer. Two star washers. Should be another one in there, I think. I've only got 2. Oh, there's another one. There's a third one. That's too small. Ah, there we go. That's 3. I knew there'd be one in there. 3 little star washers. Let's get the nuts out. First nut, second, third. Right, and we're going to want some pliers to place these. Put the first one on there. That one. Oops. On there, like that. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And we'll just get a stir. Get a nut in there. Now I was in two minds about whether to actually take all this out. I've took the top piece off because it was very badly corroded and that screw literally just fell apart. And there's a bit of flaky wood in there. Not that any of this is needed because it's never going to see batteries again. It is going to be a mains only player by the time we're finished with it. But I was going to see if I could get them springs off, but them screws are just that rusted that I'll probably do more damage than I will good, so I'm going to leave them in place. Get in there. Oops. Not got a lot of room in here with where that capacitor clip is. I can just about squeeze past it and get this tight. Let's go in with, perhaps I can get it with the pliers actually. Yeah. Not a lot of room around that nut in here to get it tight again. Don't want it coming working loose. Being that it holds the power supply down. Okay. That's feeling nice and tight in there now. And finally we've got one on the back here to secure the back plate in. So we'll put that back on. Drop that then. Right, and you can go home. Okay, now that's nice and tight there. That's held in place. Now just looking at this, now I've actually got the amplifier back in the case. I think that's a little bit high there, so I'm just going to bend the rectifier down like that. It's absolutely fine like that. It just gives us a little bit more space in the actual player. So that's the little bridge that we made to replace the selenium rectifier there. Just bent that down. That's going to be absolutely fine there now. It's not in the way of anything. And next we're on to, we'll put the amplifier back in here. So I've got that in a box over here. Move that out of the way for a little sec. And I've got the amplifier in here. And we've got that plate as well, which goes up there to take the amplifier, which we took off. Now I am going to make a slight adjustment to the wiring here. Let's get rid of that because we don't need that now. That was my bodging to test the amplifier. Let's get rid of that. Let's just stand that up out of the way. So we've got a little bit more desk space. And first thing we're going to do is going to put these back. Oh dear, we've got a wire broken off there. That's not good. Fortunately, it's easy to see where it's come off from, so it's not a problem. Let's fix that straight away before we go any further. Simply come off there. So we'll solder it back on. Let's find that. Okay, and then we can get this reattached to its plate. And that should hopefully help stop that happening again, because it's usually with it moving around that these things end up snapping off. So that's that wrong way around, because there we go. That goes through there and that little tag stops it rotating. Have a look in here, there we go. First control. And we will give these a little shot of switch cleaner while we've got them out, but I don't think they really need a huge amount because they're actually quite good. They're quiet, they're not crackling when you turn them, but it will help just to lubricate the shafts a little bit. Okay, that's tight. And then we'll slip the next one in. One more of them fixings, there it is. Put that in there. That's not being caught by anything. Okay, so that's the controls back on the plate. So I'll just give them a really quick little shot of some switch cleaner in each one. That should be fine. Let's give this one a shot. That's okay, and we'll give that one a quick shot. So this is just a bit of preventive maintenance, stop the shafts getting all gummy and tightening up. So they're okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to desolder this lot here, take them two tags off and solder that straight to there. And we're going to do that because originally the front of the cabinet was grounded to the speaker and to the ground. Let's get this out. into the battery ground, and we're going to have it actually go into a separate earth. So we are going to actually earth this player. So let's get that off there. I can cut that free now. Like that. We shall keep them though, because we will reuse one of them in a minute. But for now, I just want to strip this off and we'll reconnect that back to the speaker. Okay. That's the amplifier connected back up, so we can put that back in the case now. Let's move some of the bits out of the way. I think if we stand it upright like that first, that'll make life the easiest. Let's put the speaker back in first. Find the screws for the speaker. That's one. That's two. Where's the other one's gone? Should be two more. That's three. I need to find one more in here. There it is. It's hiding under another screw. Put that in. There we are. We can tighten them down with this. You notice I don't tend to use this with a handle on it, purely because you can put enough torque on just doing it like this, and you can also get into far tighter spots than you could if you was using it with a handle on it. That's that tight. Oops, that's me dropping it. And you do want these reasonably tight, so you don't want the speaker to rattle at all. I think it should give quite a good account for itself, to be honest. That's that tight. That's nice and tight. That's on the floor. That's picked up. Right, now let's put it down and let's look at putting the amplifier board back where that lives. As we know, the amplifier board sits in these wooden cutouts. Let's get the controls in the correct place. The controls go. That's it. Bring them out that way. That goes in there like that. That lines up. That screw hole there lines up. We'll just put a screw in there to keep it in place while we get the rest of that lined up. That should be one of these screws. That looks a bit big. What have we got? Let's try one of them little screws. Now that looks more like it. Oops. I think them bigger screws are what hold that plate on. Put that one in there. That holds that down for the time being. Right, let's get this plate back in position. I think we're right with that. Are we? I don't remember shortening any of them wires apart from that green one, and that's only shortened a tiny bit, so why aren't you going in there like you should? What's caught where? Something's obviously caught, or else it'll go into position. Let's take that board back out and have a look, find out why that's not going in. Let's try putting that in first. There's definitely something. It's that green wire that we just shortened. Bugger. It must only just be long enough. That's annoying. That's definitely the issue, is that that's not quite long enough. And we've not disconnected it from that side at any point, so we will have to do something about that. Now let's disconnect it from this side here. This is the one that's being the problem. Now let's see if we've got anything we can replace that with that's very, very slightly longer. Oh, that's a bit of green wire there. How long's that? That's about the same length. That's very slightly longer, but it's also a little bit thicker. I would like to use the same thickness if I can. What are you down there? You're the same length. I'll cut you up. Well, it's either a different colour or a slightly different length. Which one shall we go for? Which would look less obtrusive. I've not got anything really suitable. Let's have a think what we could do. What we will do is we'll just put a little... No, that wouldn't look right. What's that? Solid core, I don't want to use solid core. Ah! That'll do. I've got something here. Yeah, that'll do. Tiny little bit thicker, but it's still a damn sight better than what's on there. Right. This should do the trick. That up. remove that from there. Replace it with this one. Put that back through there. Whoops. Really need a longer flex on my soldering iron. Okay. And where we go, that is that cable replaced, so hopefully this time it should actually fit where it's meant to fit and not cause us problems again. Alright, let's see. I've got that cart round there, that's why it won't go in this time. Come on, out you come. There we go, that's better. Where's that wire? Ah, it's got to go over the top. There we go. That's it, that's in position this time. And that now fits. That's it. That's all we needed. So let's get that mounted back in position. This lined up. I think that's right. Yeah, I think those screws are the right screws as well. Come on. Let's get this in. Goes there. Alright, let's have a go with that. There we go. I always have a bit of fun lining some of these things up. Put that one in there. That still feels a bit on the tight side. Let's see when we've got this tightened up. Apologies there, the camera just stopped recording for a second, but we're back on with it. I don't think you missed much there. I'll just finish off putting these screws in, and that's the amplifier board back where it should be. Let's just move these out of the way for a sec. Okay, that's the amplifier remounted. I'll leave you a lot of slack on them cables, I'll say that. Got the last two screws to go in to hold that aluminium plate in. Okay, that one's in. And the last one is this one. there we go. So we have the amplifier board back in. We have all the controls for the amplifier back in position. We've got our input to the deck here. That's going to have to be remade. That's looking rather manky. In fact, we'll cut that straight off now and we'll remake that. So all we need to do now really is that needs to go back in the back of the player. That goes to external speaker up there. If we can get that nut off there again. Dear me, that's stiff. But they've moved together. I was sure I put the nut back on there here, and I hadn't put it elsewhere. We'll have to just try that. I haven't put the nut for that in here, and I'm trying to take a nut off that doesn't come off ever. No, I didn't think I had. Oh, I must have. There's no nut on there, is there? So where's the nut for that gone? Not the end of the world if it's gone awry. So we'll have some replacements for that somewhere. Yeah, can't find that just at this. In fact, what I could do. Where's that other wire gone? Where has that other wire gone? Oh, it's gone AWOL as well now. I did have another wire that has to go back in there, but I can't find it at the moment. In fact, we'll leave that for now. It's not important, and that can be in the next video. What we actually want to do is see if we can get this amplifier up and running and playing again in this video. So we won't worry about that just for this minute. What we will do is we will reconnect to the amplifier up to this power supply. I was hoping I could just get that in there, just to snip this off here. Okay, let's solder that in position. Where's my solder go? There's some solder. Ah, there's some solder. Okay, that should be okay. Yeah, we've got a good connection there. Then we need to get the negative and connect the negative up. Again, that will just go to the other side of this. That the negative can go straight to the rectifier there. Just let me put the iron down a second. It's going to be quite tricky to do this and film exactly what I'm doing. Right now. Drop that down there, bring that back up there. So we do want this as neat and tidy as we possibly can. Okay. And we'll solder that on there like that. There we go. So that is the amplifier connected back up to the power supply. So we'll still use its original capacitor there because there seems to be absolutely nothing wrong with it. We've got a new fuse holder in there, and we've got the new IEC connector in there. We've got a new bridge rectifier there to provide the DC. We've got a recapped amplifier board there. So I think it's about time we reinstalled the deck. And I've got the deck that we rebuilt on the previous video here. I'll just put this to one side for a second. Now what I have done to it since the previous video is I've just wired up the motor. Oops, I still need to connect that back on, but basically what we've got is we've got that will go to the live side of the fuse, the mains input. That will go to the neutral. The black there will go to the neutral, which I've put a little tag on the tag strip for. And this blue wire here will go into the go into the transformer to energize the transformer. So basically when the deck switches on, it energizes the motor and it powers up the transformer, which in turn powers up the transistor amplifier. And then when the whole thing shuts off, this releases and it powers down the whole unit. So nothing is left switched on if you accidentally left it plugged in with its IEC plugged in. As soon as it stops playing a record, it basically powers itself off, which I thought was rather a good way of doing it, being that we've changed the deck about. Right, so what we need is we need the deck board, which I've got here. I've given it a clean, as you can see, and it's not looking too bad now. So let's put the deck back on the deck board. In fact, what I need to do before that, and I haven't quite really cleaned these yet. I will clean them in another video. So there's going to be another video to this evening if we do get it to play today. I'll put them back in. These are just the transit screws, but they also what attach the actual deck to its deck board. So we'll stick them back in. And to two minds what to do with them. I'll try cleaning them, and if I can't clean them, I might just paint the tops of the screws heads with a bit of black enamel, because that doesn't look too bad. So they're back in there. And this needs to go back on. Make sure we get all our wires through. And it goes back on like that. Our big washers on, like so, and then there should be two more circlips to go on just to hold that in place, which I've got here. And we don't want it too tight. These are literally just to stop it bouncing up and down. So like the second notches should be absolutely fine for these. These are like notch posts, and you can adjust the amount of tension you've got on the springs by changing where they are on the posts. But there we go. So basically, oops, I do need to get a circlip for that, because the one that I thought would fit is a little bit too big. So I do need to get a circlip for the in fact, we'll leave that off for the moment while we're fiddling with it. We've got the deck here that will go in that way, so we just prop it up. I'll have to send this back a little. No, we'll get it so it's in a. There we go. Oops. I need to basically just balance it for now. There we are. That's okay. We're happy with that. Now what we need to do is this red wire here needs to connect to. In fact, what should we do? Yeah, we're going to have to change this around from a little bit from how we tested it. So let's get this this blue wire out here. That goes to the transformer. Let's snip off this bit of heat shrink. I did say this would have to come off again, and we only put this on while we was initially testing the power supply and made sure we was happy that it was working again. So let's get this off. like that. Now what I could do is actually take that completely off the fuse and replace it, and just solder that down onto the fuse carrier there and put some new heat shrink on it. I think that's what we'll do actually. I think that'll be a neater solution. So let's get this back off. I should have done this before I put the power supply back in the record player, in hindsight. We're doing it just this way to save us having another join in the cable. It'll look a lot neater and tidier with it straight on the fuse rather than having a join of a blue and a red wire in the middle of the wire. There we go. Got rid of that. Need a new piece of heat shrink from there. This stuff should do. I'll put that on there like that. The older oops. I'm going to catch that wire. See, we've got a good solid connection there. Yes, we have. Drop that heat shrink down over it. Let's just move that round a little bit. Probably been easier if I'd have actually took the fuse carrier out of the record player again, but you can do it if you can fiddle about a little bit, just manipulate the wiring. Hopefully that connection should have cooled off enough now that when I pull the heat shrink over it, it doesn't try and shrink it and cause a problem. Let's slide that over there now. Go on, a little bit more. There we go. That's it, and then we'll just shrink that down. There we are. That's nicely shrunk down. So that's protected by that fuse. That's nice and safe. Like I said, we are going to do some earthing in this as well, but we'll make sure we've got everything up and running and working first, and then we will worry about earthing it. Right, now we need the negative from the motor. We'll have about the same amount of wire on it, so that does need chopping down a little bit. And we've already brought a neutral point out, which is over there, so we just need to tin this up and solder this to that. You stay where I can get at you. There we go. Get some solder. and that's connected on there. That's good and solid. And our final thing to do is connect this wire, which comes from the other side of the switch, to the transformer to energise the transformer. So let's just strip a bit of this off. And we need a little bit of heat shrink from here. Let's see what size heat shrink will be best. I think a piece of this will do nicely. Put a little bit of heat shrink on there, like that. Oops. Tin this wire up. Let's use my there we go, that'll hold it. Yeah, got some crud on the end of my iron then. Okay, tin that wire like that. That's a decent enough connection there. Put the heat shrink over that and shrink that down. And there we go. That is the that is the power supply connected back up to the motor and the amplifier board there. The only thing we've got left to do now is connect the output from the cartridge there to the amplifier's input. So we'll just prepare this wire here, we'll tack them back on there. So we'll just strip a little bit of this off and we will take it from there. We'll try connecting a cartridge up and we'll see if we can play a record. Get this. Yuck. It's got like a cellophane over it. There we go. That's stripped off now. I just need to tin these up. Like that. We can, oops, we've got a little bit of a blob there, let's get rid of that. Off you come. And we can solder this back up to the phono connections on the turntable. That's the first one. That's the second one. So they're connected again. Right. And now we can put this back down. And that is catching on something. Ah, right. We've got a problem which I hadn't foreseen before. And that is that the motor is fouling on the capacitor, it is also fouling on that piece of wood there. Now hopefully, let's hope we can do this without having to disconnect everything yet again. Hopefully we can slide the capacitor, because it was only just fouling. If we slacken this off here, let's not have the turntable falling over. This is one of the things when you modify a unit. If you remember the little 6 volt or 9 volt I think it was motor that this used originally, was a darn sight smaller than this AC induction motor that we have fitted. And there are parts in here which are now fouling it. I mean, if the worst comes to the absolute worst, what we could always do is change this capacitor for a modern one, which is a lot smaller, and just use some of that tag strip which we aren't using over there to take it. Let's see if we can slide that down now. No, it needs, I think we need to take that out completely. That's a pain. So I don't want to let go of that too much and have it fall over and damage something. Now we've done all that work to it, or rip a wire out from somewhere and cause some other damage. That's why I'm being a bit careful with the motor board, the way I've got it propped up there. Right, let's have a look here now. That's well free. Let's see if we can push. There we go. Oops, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. Let's see if we can. There we go. That's slid all the way down there now. That should have given us enough room. Let's do this back up. It is a very compact player, this, which is a nice thing. Like I said, most compact players are really bad. Is where I think this is actually going to sound quite nice. Right, okay. Let's see if that's giving us what we need. I'm feeling I might still have to do some more. Yeah. What we're going to have to do, and it's not going to cause a problem, we're going to have to take that piece of wood there out to give us enough room to clear the motor. Hopefully I can just get hold of it with a pair of pliers and just give it a pull, and it should come. I know it sounds a little bit brutal, but it is just glued in place and it's not needed now. Right. There we go. There is a nail sticking up there which we can get rid of. And with any luck, it should, keep your fingers crossed, it should now. There we go, that's all it needed. As you can see, it now fits, and there's nothing obstructing that motor. It now fits as I wanted it to fit, so that's good. Right, shall we see if it's going to play? I think what we'll do first is we'll plug it in and we'll see if we can get the amplifier to come on, and then we'll find a cartridge and we'll stick a cartridge in it and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from there. So let's get an IEC lead. Let's plug an IEC lead in. Let's plug that in the back now. That fits okay in there. Happy with that. Let's switch it on. It's switched on. Let's turn the volume down. Have them about midpoint. There we go. Set that to 16. I'd better put a deck on there, else it's going to cause problems. Okay. Let's see if it comes on when we. There we go. the amp's definitely hot. Blue and yellow. Let's see if we get a buzz when we touch the input. Oh. I was expecting to get a buzz there. Well, the amplifier is definitely working, as you can hear. But I'm not getting the buzz I'd expect off them wires, which is a little bit weird. I'm just going to stop the camera and start your recording again, because it's just about to actually stop. So, okay, I'm back. I've spotted the problem right away. It's basically the wire here has come off from its pot. So let's get back in there. And let's just switch that off and make sure we're safe while we're working in here. So let's get that back off and let's get this wire soldered back in position. And that's why it stopped playing. Well, it stopped. Basically, that's just come off from there. So that's a nice, easy little fix. We'll just get that soldered back on and put that back in there then, and then we should be good for a try. Let's just strip a little bit of that off. Like that. I'll tin that wire up. Like that. We can solder that back into position. Okay. Problem solved. Hopefully. Right, now we will put this back in the record player. There we go. That's it. That's back in position. Hopefully that was the only issue. We will see again in a second. Let's tighten that up. That screw in there. Right. Let's go for another try. Put the deck back in like that. Switch back on. There we go. Alright, let's see if we've got some something on here. There we are. That's more like it. Right. Turn that off and let's see if we can find a cartridge that's going to fit this, and we'll see if we can get it to play. Got some cartridges up here. I've got some records up here as well we can try. Now let's see what we've got. So we've got some awful records, so we can have some fun with them. Now these are my my top end styluses and cartridges. These are what I generally fit to like dance set restorations and hackers and things like that. They're not really what I normally fit to this type of record player. that is what I normally fit to this type of record player, but we'll be going through that in another video. For now, I'm going to actually fit a proper decent, quite high output cartridge, and we will see what this thing can, what this thing will do. Right, let's see what we've got in here we can use. That's a SX6M. Could be okay. Let's see what else we've got. That will do. Yes, we've got an SX6M there. BSR cartridge. We'll get that wired up into this player and we'll see if it'll do anything. I think we should be able to get it to go straight in as well. Stylus seems okay on this. Okay, that's connected up. Let's put it in the head shell. Let's see whether we can get it. That's not too bad, I think that'll line up. Are we right there? It's not actually going through. Only just. I think we need a slightly longer screw. Let's see what we've got. Where's my screws? There they are. We need something slightly longer than that, I think. But with a tiny little... what's we got in here? That's more like it. I think that one should do it. That's better. That's okay. Right. It's not the best fit in the world, but at least it'll allow us to see whether the player's going to play okay. There we go. Right, let's give this thing a try. If I start the motor. Yep, that's going to play. We've got a bit of hum there, but we'll get rid of that at a later date. Let's try this thing on 45, and I will get a record. And we'll see if we can actually get this thing to play a record after all this time. Now, what shall we try? What have we got here? I've got we've got the Wombles, Wombles everywhere. I think what's the other side? Yeah, the Wombling song. We've got Comet Relief's The Stonk, and we have Falco Rock Me Amadeus. Let's try some Wombles, shall we? Let's see what some Wombles sound like on this thing. It's rather an old scratch record, this, but it's just one of the records I use for testing. So let's see what the Wombles sound like on this. There we go. Underground, Wimbledon free. The Wombles at Wimbledon, come on our way. Making your use of the things that we find. That sounds a bit quick, actually. Things of the everyday folks leave behind. Uncool Bulgaria, to remember the day when we want to be high, to be high, to be high, to be high, to be high. I will say that these records are very worn and scratched. Try Try bringing it in a bit. Well, there doesn't seem to be any. Let's try a different record. Perhaps that is just a little bit past it. Let's see if we can try something that I might be able to know what the sound, what the picture's like. That sounded like it was running a little fast to me, but let's try this. This is Falco Rock Me Amadeus. So we can get rid of that hum. Don't worry about that hum for now. Let's try this. I'm wondering if perhaps the arm's too light and it's actually skipping because it's actually too light. Let's adjust the arm slightly. Just a little bit more weight in the arm. Let's take a little bit of the tension off. Let's see if that'll make a difference. Let's try that. I'll have to go back and listen to this record by someone else to actually tell whether this is running too fast or not. I think it gives you the idea. It's definitely got some potential to sound actually quite nice, this thing. Let's try a different record. What else have we got here? Let's try this Comic Relief, the Stonk. See if this, how this sounds. I think this has hardly been played.
Good evening. Here is the 6 o'clock stonk.
All over the nation there's a brand new craze. You see it going on where the music plays. It's funky and it's funky and it's super light. You can do it by day, but it's better at night. S-T-O-N-K. Let's song to the rhythm of a honky tonk. Stick a red nose on your tongue and let's song. Well, you can play a fiddle with a lump of cheese, or make the Taj Mahal out of machine.
It sounds to me like the whole thing might be playing a little bit fast. So that's something to look at in the next video. It could be that that little pulley on that motor is not the right size for this turntable, and it's making it play at slightly the wrong speed. Let's just quickly try a 78 on it. See, I've got some 78s. I've got a 78 here. I've only got one, but oh, I found another record as well. Let's give this one a quick try. I don't know now, that doesn't sound too bad. we'll see in a second when she starts singing. I really can't tell, that actually sounds okay to me. Better stop that or else we'll be hit by the copyright police, I think. Just shut that off. We'll try 78 just as a last thing for this video today. What I will say is that it's not ideal, this actual cartridge. I'd have to stack it down so it sits a little bit further down in the head shell if I did want to use this one, because the flip over there for the stylus isn't quite working and it actually fouls the arm there, but it'll be okay for us just to have a quick play. Like I said, I certainly would have to do something if I decided I wanted to use that cartridge on this player, but like I said, I'm going to look at perhaps fitting one of the cheaper modern Chinese cartridges to this, purely because these cartridges like the BSRs, they cost me upward of £30 each, and generally speaking I only fit them to players like the Dansets, the Hackers, and if a customer insists on me fitting them, if I'm doing a player up like this, I tend to fit the more modern cartridges, the Chinese cartridges, because actually on a player like this they do sound quite okay. But we'll go into that into the next video. Let's well, sorry about that, unfortunately my camera battery died, so hopefully you didn't miss too much out there. We'll just quickly play one last record anyway. So I'm not sure about the speed on this. It may be playing at the right speed, it may not. Like I said, I'll have to play a few more records on it until I really decide that. But that sounds okay. Well, I feel it's playing at the right speed. Anyway, we'll stop it at that. I'll stop that. There we go. So as I said, the whole idea of this video today was just to get it into a point where it was actually be able to play again, and we've managed to do that. We do have some issues. It may not be running at the right speed, but we will so I'll try a few more records. I'll probably put some 33s that I'm really familiar with on, and we will make sure that is actually running at the right speed. Also, like I said, this cartridge isn't ideal. I did just shove it in there just to see if we could get this thing to play. In the next video, we're going to we'll finish the cosmetics off, we'll put all the front back together, and we will look at either setting this cartridge up correctly or perhaps fitting one of the cheaper alternative cartridges that I do tend to use on these players. And we'll make sure that this is actually playing at the right speed. We'll get rid of that bit of a buzz. I think it's just the fact I've not grounded this plate here, and I have a feeling it was grounded originally. So we'll attend to that. Like I said, there's a few other little bits and bats we need to do on it. But I'm going to leave it there for now. Hope you enjoyed that little addition to this video. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.